Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Deb Sofield, and you're listening to my weekly podcast series called Encouragement for Your Life. Most of you know I'm a national speaker, trainer, and coach. I like to say I help people find their voice and learn to use it. I'm also a conference speaker on the topics of public speaking, presentation skills, how to deal with the media, and crisis communication. I've got a number of other presentations on my website if you'd like to check those out. If your organization has an upcoming conference and you need a keynote speaker, I hope you'll reach out at debsofield.com. I would love to be a part. I've got a number of great books on the market. My best-selling book, Speak Without Fear. My book, Perfecting Your Platform. Both of those are on Amazon and Audible if you like to listen to books. And my series, Encouragement for Your Life, which is a compilation of these podcasts, they're available on Amazon, volumes 1 through 3. Just go into Amazon, type in my name, Deb Sofield, all my books will appear. I've got a great show today. It's a theme that I've wanted to give a couple times, and today's the day, and I'm calling it From Fearless or Fearful. Friends, you're going to have to make a decision, and I am surprised how many of you are fearful. Listen, let's see if we can change that. I'm Deb Sofield. Stay tuned. I'll be right back. So in a recent show, I was speaking with my guest, and I mentioned that it's interesting to me that when you're young, I find for the most part that most younger people are fearless. They'll try anything, from working extra hours to get ahead or speaking up in a meeting to let their voice be heard, to spending time to learn a new program or system, which granted does seem to come easier to the kids. But then I see so many people reach an age where they cross this invisible line from being fearless to fearful for no apparent reason. And then a few setbacks in their lives starts it all over again. You'll notice over time because they become fearful of speaking up in case they're wrong, or they become fearful of putting in an extra hour in case no one notices, so why give it more than the basic requirement? Or for many, I see that they are fearful of stepping out or away from the comforts of home, their job, their group of friends. I find it curious that so many once fearless people now seem to make a place for fear at their table and allow fear to eat at every meal with them in their ever-shrinking world. It's hard to notice when this change actually occurs, but it's usually a gradual veering off the main road unless something traumatic happens. It doesn't usually occur overnight, and that's what makes this so dangerous. In the business world, it's what we call mission creep, where slowly things change and usually not for the better. I'm sure you've seen it. And if you're like me, you can't put your finger on the exact day or time it happened for many people, but you do watch it unfold with a mix of wonder and curiosity and most likely a bit of sadness. We remember our friends when they were younger, when they were open and happy and free. Next time we see them, they are closed and guarded and increasingly cynical and negative about everything. Now, of course, not everyone's affected like this. For some, it's a gradual slide from one end of the spectrum to the next, or from being fearless, within reason, to do big things and take massive action and believing that success is attainable, to then see it cross some unseen line where you see people become hesitant instead of taking action, or they allow fear to become a way of life so they don't rock the boat. So, how can we make sure this doesn't happen to us and perhaps change the course of this sad direction for our friends? How can we keep the idea of being fearless in the forefront of our minds to move us in the proper direction for outrageous success? I've got 3 ideas I'd like for you to consider. Number 1, I think you need to learn to trust yourself. 2, I want you to learn to shrink your fear. And 3, I think you need a positive mindset so you always expect the best. Let me start with the idea of learning to trust yourself. I recently reconnected with a friend I had in high school. When we were younger, she was one of the most popular girls in my school. She was funny and nice, enthusiastic and energetic. I really can't say enough nice things about her. She was terrific and good to everyone. Well, we got together a while back, and I was very surprised to see how she had changed, and not in a good way. The person I see today occasionally gives me a glimpse of the girl she was back then, that amazing, young, fearless woman with so many years of excitement of life ahead of her. But today, I find her fearful and a bit withdrawn. Now, you see, life has thrown some very hard curveballs at her, and a few of them hit her right between the eyes, so to speak. And now that once fearless young girl is a very different, fearful person. In our conversation, she confided in me about her wrecked marriage, kids who have gone off track, and the bills and debts that have piled up that keep her up at night. She said that she would get my weekly newsletter, that's when I had one, and that's what prompted her to reach out to see if an old high school friend had any words of encouragement. Wow! If you had told me when we were younger I would be giving her advice, I would have never believed you. And yet here we are sitting over coffee, remembering who she once was and seeing now who she has become, at least from my perspective. And looking at her and listening to her story, all I could think of to say to her was to encourage her to make 3 very hard yet needed life choices. Because remember, almost everything in life is a choice. I really believed that she needed to learn to trust herself again. And she could do that by shrinking her fear and actively seeking and expecting the best for her life. Because as she moves forward in life, because I believe that deep within her soul, cutting through all those years of pain, she is still the nice, funny, enthusiastic, energetic lady who had a life plan that was big and fearless. My thought was, if she could shrink the overwhelming fear of her current situation, she would begin to make better, more clear-headed choices for her life. Obviously, it would not be easy to do. But once she was at least 1 paycheck ahead, she could rest a bit easier. And if she would trust my advice to consider the inward choice of expecting better things in her life over time, I really believed that good things would happen to her. And once she had a chance to see her life improve little by little, she could take a bigger step in the right direction. In her case, encouraging her to visualize the life she wanted and needed was going to be a very big step in believing that she could, with work, accomplish a few small goals that would lead to larger success. As we talked, I told her that in my own life, when things were tough, I had to remind myself of the times when I was successful. And no matter what came against me, I will not let fear be a part of my life. And she should not let fear have a foothold in hers. If she could just find that place, in her not too distant past, when that person she was for almost half her life, the funny, nice, enthusiastic, energetic, wonderful her, she could find a way towards fearlessness. I'm not saying it would be easy, but it was a path that she had followed before, and I believe she could follow again on her way to a new view of her current situation. I have a friend who says that in life, most people never really change. They're still the person they were in high school, just a grown-up version of that person now. It's kind of interesting when you think about it that way, and with regard to my friend, I hoped that sentiment would be true, so she could get back up in life without fear holding her down by simply learning to trust herself again and knowing what steps she needs to take for herself in a positive way that will yield a lifetime and successful results. I get it. It's hard to move forward when you don't know what path to take. But I have found that if you will just learn to trust yourself, you have a starting point where you can put a stake in the ground and start walking. And know this, while you're walking your new path, you are still going to have to do the hard work of shrinking your fear. Friend, that's the mental part of this equation. You cannot allow the negative thoughts of fear and failure to enter your mind or weigh you down so much so that you can't see the light of day. Forcefully choosing to think in a different way, for some listening today, is the only choice you have that can help you push past your fear. Hear me, no one can shrink fear for you. You have to face it. Kick it out of your way. Keep walking. Why? Because I have always believed that if you expect the best for your life, friends, you are halfway there. And for some today, that is the only healthy choice for you to live your best life ever. I had someone email me a while back about a show I did where I encouraged my listeners to expect the best and walk in the way of success. And I used the phrase act as if, because it very well may come to pass. He wrote me saying that he didn't buy into my feel-good conversation of expectations and acting as if for a positive outcome. He went on to say how his life was in turmoil and nothing good was going his way, and complain. To which I wrote back and said, hey, since your way isn't working out so well for you, maybe you should consider mine. Learning to trust yourself, again, by shrinking your fear and actively seeking and expecting the best as you move your life forward. At this point, I didn't see he had many other options unless he wanted to live a life of complaining. Funny, life is like that. You can consider the light at the end of the tunnel as an oncoming crushing train, or you can imagine that it is truly the light at the end of your struggles. And if you'll just keep going by learning to trust yourself, shrinking your fear, and expecting the best, and by putting this plan into action, friend, you've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. There's no need to live this amazing life fearfully. You were made for more than that, and I believe deep inside you know it, although it's a little hard to find some days. Friend, hear me, living fearlessly, that is your higher calling. And I believe that deep down inside, you know that's the right path for you. So friend, hear me when I say, stop being fearful. I want you to go back to the young person you were in life who was fearless, and let's walk that path together. Why? Because I believe that if you work towards a better day, your only choice and option is a better day. Or you can muddle around hoping somebody will save you, and guess what? Nobody's coming. It's got to be you. Here's my point. Friend, I want you to know that you can work on this journey for a better day. But remember, the word is work, and I know you can do it. And just remember, Deb doesn't care what the world says about you. I want you to know I care about you. And I care about you because I am tired of you being fearful. I believe you can do big things, and that's only going to happen when you become fearless. And here's my promise. I am going to walk alongside you as we follow that dream together. All right, everybody, take care. Thanks for joining me. Join me next week for Deb Sofield's Encouragement for Your Life. Have a great weekend. Thank you.